Hey everyone, and welcome back to the American Dairy Farm here on Ray County, Missouri. We're out in this field spreading some manure, and we've been out here practically all morning. We've been cleaning out the stalls, and surprisingly, there's a lot of manure we have to spread, and we've just decided we're going to throw it on all this corn stubble. These are the fields that we chopped for corn silage not too awfully long ago, and so this will help the soil a little bit of a nitrogen boost in the wintertime. And then also, we're going to be doing some fall tillage on these fields and hopefully planting them in some winter wheat or some kind of crop like that. But we've been passing the time because fall harvest is now approaching us, and we've got quite a few fields of corn and soybeans that we've got to get off. We've got the combine basically all ready to go, so all we got to do is throw the head on and we can go ahead and get started. But we are going to get this manure spread before we cut any crops, so let's just let's go ahead and get into this one. Alrighty, so you heard right in the intro, we are going to be getting into some fall harvest today. The grass, the leaves, the bushes, everything is now a golden brown color, and the old wives' tale is that usually means the corn's ready to be taken out of the field. Don't know if you can see it up there ahead of me, but it is a very golden color and it looks really good. We've been keeping an eye on moisture levels and stuff throughout the morning because it is just now lunchtime, so we're going to get the rest of this manure spread on the fields. We don't have that much left. We're going to take a little lunch break here, and then we will get started into harvest. Unfortunately, it is just me on the farm right now, but the kind of stuff that we're doing right now, it's really just a one-man job anyway, so I don't have too much to really worry about. And this loader, let me tell you, it makes a world of a difference loading the manure spreader. We used the 8110 to clean out the stalls, and then we piled the manure up right here, and then we used the wheel loader to load it in the spreader. But before we had this loader, we had the, like I said in the last episode, we had or maybe it wasn't the last episode, we had that little Komatsu loader with a bucket really no bigger than the 8110, and it would take a good 5, 6, 7 bucketfuls to fill the spreader. It was a very slow process, but now you only need to dump about 3 times and you're ready to rock and roll. And I think this right here should be our 3rd load of manure to the field. It took 2 loads to get that one field spread right there, so we did pretty good off of that. I think we can put a little more on top maybe. Let's see here. And then we've also got a bunch of slurry that we need to spread. There's a good few thousand gallons. We've got that to put on our fields too, so we'll get that out at some point, but for now we're going to get most of this manure spread. Okay, I think that's probably good. I'll just leave the rest in the bucket till we come back. And see, check that out. I told you it would take just about no time to get that spreader filled up. Alright, now we can head back to the field and we'll throw the rest of this on there. But the farm has been super busy all morning. I threw some bedding down in the free stall for the cattle, and then we got the rest of this manure hauled out to the field right there. Or not really the field, the little grass spot. It's just where we loaded at. But we are basically out of straw bales now too, so we're going to need to get some winter wheat going and bale the straw off of it so we can keep giving the cattle some bedding. Or we might just buy some straw for the time being, but it is cheaper for us to just bale it. Okay, now we'll just turn this bad boy on and check that out. We are spreading manure. This spreader has done a really great job on the farm for us. I do like these Kuhn spreaders. I can't remember the one we had before this spreader, but this one's not super old, and it works like a dream come true. It spreads really wide and it doesn't spread it all super fast, because I know the spreader we had before this one just liked to throw it all out there at one time, it seemed like. And I'm thinking we can probably get all of it on this field. I don't know if we'll be able to put the rest on the next field, because we did chop 3 corn fields, so if we can put manure on 2 of them and then slurry on the last one, and then the corn ground we're going to cut here in just a minute, I think that'll do us just fine. But I'm hoping to get all this crop cut really quickly because the temperature outside is steadily dropping. Seems like it's a lot colder in October this year than it was last year, but I could be wrong. It's just this ground is going to start getting really cold fast, and it's going to make tillage pretty hard. So I'm liking the fact that it's 41 outside right now, but overnight it was like 18, and tonight it's supposed to be 21. So, I mean, that's not the greatest thing in the world, but there's not much I can do. So we're just going to try and, hope for some warmer weather and see if we can get tillage done before the ground quite literally freezes. But check this out. I think one entire pass around the field is going to do us one load, and I think that's not too shabby. We'll get this little piece right here, and then we'll turn around and get another load. Alrighty, there we go, all good. So we got one headland pass and then a little tiny piece of it right here spread off of one load. It's not too bad. I don't really know how much manure is over here in terms of like spreader loads, but the pile has given us 3 spreader loads so far, and enough to do this field and start this one. So, and also I think I'm gonna make it a little easier on myself and turn around before I start loading, something about like that. Alright, that should be good. Now we'll hop back in the loader and we'll finish this spreading job out. Alright, so I mean, we don't actually have that much left. The spreader's about to be filled up, so maybe we can get one more load. I mean, this is a big spreader after all, so, I guess that's one thing you gotta take away from this. Well, maybe not. Turns out that's our last load because we're out of manure. So we'll just park the loader right here and we'll hop back in the spreader. I mean, we're going to have more manure at some point, but I would have at least liked to have finished that field off. But you got to work with what you've got. So we'll go and spread this, and then we can get started in some corn. Alright, so we left off somewhere right in here. We'll just let the GPS guide us back into our course here. Trying pretty hard not to miss a bunch of spots, but I think I'm doing pretty good. And it is slinging this stuff out there, I can really tell. So hopefully this will do some good for these fields. Putting manure and slurry always does really good on these fields around here, I think. And we actually put out more manure and slurry, I think, than fertilizer. So we'll just have to see how the yields are this coming year and justify it. We've still got about 25% in the spreader coming to the end of our second pass around the field. So we'll just go up and down a few times, get the rest of this slung out here. Okay, there we go. Finally got all this stuff spread. We did miss a few spots down here, but I think it's going to be alright. We got a good little majority of this field covered, maybe about 30-40% of it, which is not terrible. So now we're going to go and park the spreader. I'll probably just set it over here next to the loader. I don't really have a designated spot for it. Just somewhere right in here is where we had it. Just try to keep it out of the way a good bit. Okay, right there is probably going to do it. And before we actually head over to the shop and get in the combine, I think I should show this off. So check this out. All that corn that we chopped and piled in here. Here's how much is in here. I'll walk up on the hill so I can show you down in the bunk a little better. We got the tarp on it, like I said. There are, I think it's like 900,000 liters in here, so I'm not actually sure how much that is, but it sounds like a lot. It's not like super tall, but it does stretch all the way across the bunk, and there is a good bit in here. So this is going to be a decent amount of feed for us. The tarp is a little bit bigger than we thought because last year we had more, but hey, here it is, and it's 92% done fermenting, so real soon we'll take the tarp off and we'll have some silage going. Okay, so now we can take this to its shed, park it away for a little while, and I think about right there should do it. And so I think Dad should be getting here at some point to drive the semi, but for right now we are just going to get these fields off right here close to the house, so we'll be here later this afternoon to drive it down the road. But let's see if we can get back in here to the combine. Probably going to have to move the 4-wheel drive tractor just so we can get to the corn head. So let's go ahead and fire this bad boy up. And I think we can just pull it over here under these trees. I think that'll be good. This is out of the way for the most part. And so we'll put it back in the shed whenever we are done with corn harvest. And I said we were going to do corn first, but I think it'd probably be a better idea to get the soybeans off first because we've already got the combine switched over to grain. So we'll just grab the head off the trailer right here. I mean, we're not really going super far with it, so we're going right over here in front of the house. We'll get these 2 little fields cut. They're not super big whatsoever. And then we might actually switch gears and head down the road and get the fields cut that we have that are far away from the farm, and then we'll come back and swap heads and get all of our corn cut because there's more corn around the farm anyway, but we do have some bean fields that are down the road from here. So I'll go ahead and get started. We might not even have to really move the semi. I am going to have to get the auger tractor going in just a little bit, but I don't have to worry about that right now. So let's fire the combine up and let's dig into some beans here. The combine seems to be working really nice. These are some pretty dry beans for how wet it's been here recently, so and the yield seems to be doing fairly good so far, so we'll keep on trucking, see how good it really does end up getting. But there are some weeds dotted in here. We did spray herbicide a while back, but I guess some of these weeds will always find a way to prevail. So check this out, we are into fall harvest. This is one of my absolute favorite times of year. I love it so much. I really can't decide if the spring planting, the summer chopping corn, or harvest in the fall is my favorite time of year. It's one of those three. And then you obviously, I love cultivating, I love tillage, and I also do love cutting hay, but there's just something so awesome about harvesting that I just, you can't beat it. And I like to call these fields right here by the house like little test plots, because usually the yield on this field reflects how the other crops around here are going to do. And so far, I mean, this is looking pretty decent. So usually we plant one of these in corn and one of these in soybeans, but this year we just planted both of them in beans because we have more fields of corn this year. But I'm not super duper worried about yield as much this year, because we've gained a lot of ground over the span of this year. I think we've bought about 150 new acres. So to do that, we had to sell off a few of our cows, but between selling grain this past winter and a few loans here and there, I mean, we've done fairly good with our land this year. Some of the fields we bought were absolute steals, to be honest with you. And something else, don't know if you guys see this or not, but there's snow in the forecast, which is absolutely crazy. It's like I said a while ago, it's been super cold here in October. We got flurries of snow the other night, but it never really stuck because it was like 33 or 34 or something like that. But we were supposed to get 2 inches of snow overnight, so I'm kind of worried about it, killing these beans off like the frost, but I'm not super worried. I would just, I don't want to wait too long on harvest, if you know what I mean. So that's why I was so adamant about getting it out of the field. And we did some changes to the feeder house this past summer. I think we put a new chain in the feeder house, and we replaced the auger on this head entirely. So this field gives us time to check and see what all's running good and what's not running right before we head over, down the road to the big fields. If we have to make any adjustments to the head or the feeder house, we're right here at the farm. So that's the beauty that I see in these little fields right here next to the farm. And a little cash cropping never hurt anybody anyway. We do make a pretty decent profit every year off of soybeans and corn, actually more so than people really think. Everybody's like, the money comes from all that milk. Well, actually, it comes from our corn and soybeans a lot of times, but they aren't wrong. We do make a good profit off of the milk we sell. So check this out. We're almost done with this field. I'm telling you, this combine looks small, but it really does get it done. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get the combine unloaded, because on this cornfield right here, usually we just drive the combine, over to the bins. We leave the semi-truck at the auger, and we drive the combine over there and unload into the semi-truck because it's over the auger, and it keeps us from having to, unload in the field and then drive all the way down to the auger, position the semi. It just saves a lot of time, to be honest with you. So we might do that the same way, but I'm also thinking, we won't get the semi-trailer filled off of these two little fields right here. So we'll park it by the road, we'll fill it up with what we get off these fields, and then we'll drive it down the road, get 1 or 2 little small fields of soybeans, and then bring it back and dump it, and then repeat the process, drive all the way back down the road. I think that'll make it a little easier, but we'll just have to see what happens. And I usually end up just driving around this field in circles. I don't really end up, going up and down the field because it's just an odd shape. But, I would say we make some pretty good time off of this field. And I mean, now that we're almost done with the field, I can kind of say that the yields weren't the greatest off of this field. They looked better when we started, but I think over here next to the tree line, it's kind of a little worse. And then the waterway over here seems a little better. I don't know, it's just kind of spotty. Last year we had some really super great yields off of this field, but this year it's not looking as good. So, but doesn't mean we're not going to get a lot of beans off these fields anyway. So we're just about getting full here, so I'll have to run over there and grab the semi, because I don't think we're going to be able to get all these beans off on one grain tank. Yeah, we're definitely going to be just a little bit shy. So Clayton keeps telling me I need to put a grain extension on this combine, and there's a little grain extension on here, but we don't have the big, flat mulliard top, whatever you call that. We don't have the big grain top like some of the guys around here do. So we're not really big enough time grain farmers to be spending money on grain tank extensions. So I told Clayton it was going to have to come out of his own pocket if he wanted a bigger extension. So, well, we never got to finish this field on one grain tank, so we'll just drive over here to the semi. This seems like a smart idea. Hopefully it is. We're gonna have to undo the tarp, but I think we're just about ready to dump here. There we go. Took a second for the auger to kick on, but sure enough, there we go. And so with no chaser cart on the farm, and we only have this semi, no wagons and no chaser wagon, it makes it a little bit difficult to transport grain from the edge of the field to the semi, whatever. But we get it done, and this works pretty decent for us. So, and Dad said he's on his way to the farm, so we'll get this little field of beans wrapped up over here and we will head down the road. Not totally sure how I'm gonna get the head trailer with my truck or somebody's truck, the combine and the semi down there, so we're gonna really need 3 people, so I'm gonna have to call Clayton or somebody else. We'll see though, we'll figure it out. But for right now, I say we just go ahead and get these beans cut too, and I will catch up with you guys whenever we get this field done and we switch heads, do whatever, and I'll see you when we start heading down the road. Alright, so we have now made it down the road to the next field. We got both of those 2 fields down there finished, and now we are about to start this one. It's just about 2 miles down the road, and it took us quite the time to get in here. We had to pull the combine over there in the ditch, and then we had to pull the header cart behind it, and pulled the semi over here on this side of the road, and we've got the truck over there in the bushes. So real quickly, we're going to open this field up just a little bit so we can actually pull the semi and everything in here and get it out of the road a little bit. But this field of soybeans looks pretty good so far. We are going to test the yields out here in a second, because like I said, I am going to try to open this field up just a little bit down here next to the road so we can turn around and whatnot. Okay, I'm thinking this should be a whole lot better now. We can turn our flashers off, and we'll turn the combine off for a second. We'll get out here and check the yield and pull the semi in the field. And the semi truck's not really in the way, but when it comes time to load the trailer, we're going to be kind of in a mess. The traffic just does not stop coming. I don't know where it's all coming from, but it was a time to get in this field. Let me tell you what. I think this right here is going to work. See if we can't just spin around here. Trying to be very careful not to jackknife it, but check that out. Alrighty. That's definitely a lot better. Now we'll get the tarp off. We'll just leave it right here, and I guess we can get the combine in again. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of crop loss, so I think that part's good. The straw looks very nice. So yeah, passed the little field check. So I guess now we can get this field done. Gonna get GPS rolling in this field. We didn't turn it on in the last one, but I think we need it on this field. This is definitely our best looking field of soybeans, so I'm excited on how the yield's gonna turn out, but check it out. It's a super good color. There's hardly any weeds. It looks very thick. Stand is nice, so we'll go ahead and chop these out. Combine's still running like a dream, so that's always a great thing. And I don't know about you guys, but I say we knock all these soybean fields out with a little bit of a time lapse, and then as soon as we're done with the soybean fields, we're going to drive everything back to the farm, and like I said, we'll swap to the corn head, get all the corn cut, which is definitely going to take a little while longer, so that's why I'm getting soybeans out first. At least that's the conclusion I came to. So yeah, let's go ahead and knock this out, and I'll catch up with you guys in just a little bit. Alright, well, we are finishing up soybean harvest. We got that field done and one other one, and now this is our last field of beans. As you can see, it's not a very big field. We've almost got it done here, and we just started. And we didn't really have a problem with traffic anymore moving from field to field, so it's been a very smooth soybean harvest, and it's been pretty decent. The only thing is we didn't get as many beans as I figured we would this year, that's alright. Probably gonna get 2 truckloads whenever we're done, so it's a good thing beans sell for pretty good around here, because we didn't get that many, but it's always fun harvesting soybeans, so you know, gotta take the good with the bad. We've only got about 3 passes down the field, I think, and then we're gonna wrap it up, head back to the farm, put the last load of beans in the bin, switch the auger around, switch the head on the combine, and then we'll crack open that field of corn that's right there next to the bins. And I think after a very, very long corn harvest, that should be harvest for this year done with us. And we actually had to dump into the trailer before we got done here, so that's a little unfortunate. We've only got this little bit left here. Oh, and there's going to be a little tiny little row of shame right there. Or, well, just a little missed spot. Not really a row of shame, I guess. And there we go. Now we're all done. So let's go and put this in the trailer, this little 4% we've got in the tank. And then we will head down the road back to the farm. Before we do that, we do need to turn the truck around so we can actually unload the head. Alrighty, there we go. So now I will lead this convoy out of here, and they should follow me. And hopefully traffic will let us get through pretty easily. Alright, let's just try to ease on out of here. There's nothing coming right now, so let's try and book it down the road. And then here they come. Hopefully they can get out in time so no traffic hits them head on. Really worried about that semi-truck. Maybe we should wait and see if it's ever going to actually get out of the field. Turn it wide. There you go. Alright, now everybody is rolling back to the farm. We've got to ride the shoulder pretty good amount until we can, you know, get enough room to take up most of the road. This combine is definitely a little bit wider than it seems. Alright, we made it back in one piece. At least I'm pretty sure we made it back in one piece. There's a decent long line of traffic, so hopefully we're not causing a bit of a ruckus here. I sort of want to leave the grain head out so we can pressure wash it, because it's very dirty and we're not going to be needing it for a little while, but I'll just go put it over here, just kind of in the general area where it goes. We keep it over here by the fence, and I'll just leave it right here, and I'll just park my truck at the shop. We're not going to be needing it because the grain head doesn't, or the corn head doesn't have a header trailer. I think it's small enough to just take down the road, and we're only going right here. So we also did throw some diesel in the combine because it needed it. So now we're going to see if we can get back in here to this corn header, which we can. There we go. And we're not even going to waste any time. We've already got the semi-truck positioned over the auger. We moved to the second bin, so we're ready to rock and roll. Let me just open the field up a little bit here. Alright, that should be good enough. And now we're going to go to the side and check that out. There we go. This is my favorite part of harvest for sure, and it seems very, very dry this year. Maybe that's just me, but it looks like we're filling up pretty quick, so the yields must be fairly good this year. Time will tell though. We'll do some yield testing later. This corn right here is, I think, 17% moisture, so that's something. Not exactly what I was thinking, but you know, that'll work. This right here is one of my favorite views on the entire farm. This right here has always been one of my favorite fields to cut. We've had this in hay before, we've had it in soybeans, we've had it in corn plenty of times. We actually chopped this field for silage last year, and looking down at the entire dairy from up here, you can really see it. Because I mean, it's up here by the road, you know, you got the fence line, and this is just awesome. I really do like this view. And then when we're done with this field, we'll just trot over here and get this little strip of corn that's down in here. We have a lot of little small fields like that everywhere dotted in here of corn, so we got to make sure we knock them all out. Right now, I'm just hoping we can make it back to the bins before we get full, because we are out here in the middle of the corn. It's going to be real awkward if we get full right now, so we just got to get to the top of that ridge up there. And also, at the time of recording this video, the corn texture, whatever you want to call it, of coming into the combine head has not been fixed. If anybody knows why this is, I'd like you to let me know in the comments, because I feel like this is only like this for me. I think Giant said they were going to put a patch out to fix this. Maybe that's what some people were saying, but mine's still not fixed. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the animation when the corn comes into the snoots on the head. and you know, it shakes them, it pulls them down from the auger. And my animation has been missing for months now, so if that's just a game thing, Giants thing, or if it's a mod thing, somebody let me know if it's happening to them and if they know how to fix it, or you know, whatever. I certainly appreciate it, because it's good on the soybean head, it's good on the forage harvester. It's just this particular type of head, like the corn head, it's a little frustrating sometimes, so it makes kind of in-cab view a little bit hard to sit here and watch, but you know, it is something. But this hill right here really puts the combine through it every single time. It is very, very steep. It is over exaggerating a little bit. 2, 3, 4 miles an hour is a little bit slow, but it is a pretty steep little hill right there. And do not worry, we made it back. Perfect timing. We'll just spin over here to the truck and unload into the truck. See, check this out. Look at how slick this is, just unloading right into the bin. We'll turn the fans on later to kind of dry this stuff, but I think we're doing pretty good with moisture and stuff, so we'll let that do its thing and we can start our second pass around the field. So I'm going to get this field broken open just a little bit more, you guys, and then whenever we start our rows and we get done with our headland passes, I will catch back up with you and see what we're doing then, because I think we've got to take a break for a little bit here. We're going to get the cultivator hooked up, run some test passes. I think Clayton's wanting to run the cultivator for a little bit. We're going to see if any of these fields need lime, but first we're going to knock out these headland passes, and then I will meet up with you guys in about, I'd say about 30 minutes or so, and yeah, I'll catch you guys then. Okay, we are still very slowly plugging away at this field. I have been away, like I said, for a little while. We got the plow set up, and we also got the cultivator set up, so they're out there working in the fields, getting tillage started. And then Dad was in the Magnum on the lime spreader. He's right there at the shop. We spent too much money on lime, so that's why we're about broke, but we got it all paid off for the year that we need, and so he's waiting to head out to the fields. He's got to drop some off on these fields behind us here, and then we're going to get these plowed under, and there's a few more down in the bottoms, but that's where we're headed anyway to harvest the next field of corn. And then we are now breaking this field open. As you can see, we've already been down about 5 times. I think this is number 6 right here, and we're getting pretty decent amounts of crop out of this field. I won't say it's anything crazy, but it's actually not that bad at all, I'll give you that. Harvest this year is going to take quite a while, and honestly it's probably going to be 2 episodes worth, so strap in your seatbelts. But we've got lime to spread, slurry to spread, maybe some manure, cows to feed, lots of tillage. We're definitely not going to be out of stuff to do for the next little while. And that's a good thing, because fall is usually pretty boring, but not this go around. We've got plenty of stuff to keep us busy. And on that note, I think I'm going to end this one here, you guys. I hope you all look forward to the content coming soon, because I'm going to keep pushing it out. And then as soon as wintertime comes around, we're going to be out of stuff to do. So we're going to be snowed in because of how much snow we get here in Missouri. I mean, look in the forecast. It's supposed to be here in the next few days, so, or sorry, few hours. So, but yeah, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next one.